Bert Siegrist,
And what year were you born?
1946.
And where were you born?
I was born in Springfield, Missouri.
So tell me a bit about like your growing up years, your childhood, you know, your family, your friends, and the neighborhood you grew up in.
Okay, I lived in Willow Springs when I was born. We lived over on Park Street.
Oh, okay, cool.
My dad drove for Royal Crown Cola,
Mm-hmm.
and when it went out, he drove for a company called Beavers. And Beavers was like Harlan Fruit Company. He would go to Rolla, bring fruit and vegetables home. His box boy was Porter Wagner, which is a famous country singer. And I used to sit on Porter's lap when I was 3 years old and have breakfast.
Really?
Yeah. So we've been around here a while. And then my dad moved away because, like a lot of people, he had 4 kids, and you know. So we ended up moving to Columbia, where he became a district manager for a church company. But Willow was always our home, and I come here to live with my grandmother my sophomore year in high school.
So did you go to high school in Willow?
Yeah, I graduated in 65.
65. And you said you played football?
Yeah, I was all conference running back for Willow.
Cool. Very cool.
And I run track.
You ran track?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy school, or was it
Oh yeah, our school was a good time.
good times?
Yeah. We won't get into the grades, but I did get a diploma.
That's awesome. Who was the most influential person you as you were growing up? Who influenced you the most? Who inspired you the most? That kind of thing.
Well, probably I knew everybody in town. You know how that is, and but there was some people in town that really helped me along. After I had a business, and we always sponsored like a fast-paced softball team for the girls and the boys. And I became the vice president of Booster Field back then.
Oh, cool. What was this business?
I had a place called Jimbo's, and it was a restaurant in front and a pub in the back.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
I did that for 7 years.
7 years. Did you do that before you joined the military?
Oh no, after I got
After?
out. Yeah.
So did you always want to be in the military? What careers did you want to do as a younger?
Well, I got drafted
Oh, you
like
got drafted.
everybody else, and what I did, I went up and took my physical with my brother-in-law, and they told him, he says, you get on that bus and you're going to Fort Leonard Wood. He was a year older than I was. He says, you go home and you'll be going in 2 weeks. And I come home, and all my cousins and everybody was in the Navy, so I joined the
The
Navy.
Navy.
Yeah.
So you joined the Navy because you knew people in the Navy? Is that how you chose that branch?
Well, because my cousins were all in the Navy,
Yeah.
and you know, I just wanted to join the Navy.
Right, yeah.
I put 4 years in the Navy.
4 years. So what conflict were you drafted into?
Well, it was, I was gonna go in the Army.
Oh, the Army, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was getting
Right, yeah,
drafted.
yeah, sorry.
But anyhow, I just decided I wanted to go in the Navy, and that's what I did. And I went to Great Lakes and did my boot camp, and I stayed in Great Lakes for a year shore duty. I was in the first lieutenant's department, where we would fold the flags, all the corpsmen that were coming back from Vietnam. We would fold the flags and shoot the guns and all that at their funerals. And then I got my next place I went was Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Yeah. And I worked, I run small boats up and down the Da Nang River, and I was what they call brown water Navy. It wasn't blue water. And we got Agent Orange and all that like everybody else. You know, the VA's taking care of it.
So, what, you said you did basic training in the Great Lakes, is that what you said?
Yes.
Do you have any funny stories from basic training or memorable moments?
I've got some good funny stories, some I can tell and some I can't, but they did put me in night, everybody does mess cook, so I was on the night, but nighttime bakery when I did that, and there's, you know, and then when I got back from Vietnam, I went to Charleston, South Carolina,
Mhm.
and I was on the USS Hunley as a subtender. It was one of those places where you can't have a camera and all that. We
Okay,
would do
yeah.
the missiles and all that on the stubs and all that stuff. I had a top secret clearance. So,
It's very cool.
yeah.
What was your favorite place you were stationed?
Probably Charleston.
Charleston.
I really
I
enjoyed
can
it
see
down there.
why.
We played a lot of golf. And,
Mhm.
you know, it was a lot different from Vietnam when I got
Right.
back.
So your time in Vietnam, is there any memorable moments you would like to share, or anything that happened?
Well, it's just, you know, we just did what we were told to do.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. What was your MOS? when
I
you were-
was a third class bosun mate, which
Okay.
is an E4. And I was a coxswain. You
Mhm.
know, that's, the bosun mate runs the small boats and all that stuff.
And you said you served 4 years in the military?
4 years, you're right.
Did you receive any medals or awards during this time?
Just my Vietnam ribbons and all that.
Yes. So what rank did you say you reached?
E4, which
E4.
was a, they call it a third class petty officer.
Oh, okay. You said some of your cousins were in the Navy,
Yes. Mhm.
but did you have any other family members serving in the military?
Oh, I've had all kinds of, you know, over the years.
Yeah.
My grandfather was in World War I.
Oh, really?
And he was in France. He come back with Spanish flu, but got over it. Then all my uncles, I had one uncle that was with Patton when he went into Germany.
Oh,
And,
so military family.
yeah. And, my dad didn't go because he had his eye put out, but all my uncles all went,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of your family, did you ever marry?
I've been married twice.
Married twice?
I got 2 boys.
2 boys. What's
Yeah.
their names?
Matthew, he graduated here in 93.
Mhm.
He put 9 years in the Marines.
Oh, very nice.
And he's in California now.
Mhm.
And he was on a hard landing over,
Oh,
got
really?
hurt, so and then Jason, he never went to the service, but I got 3 good granddaughters, you know.
Yeah. You said they
And-
did cheerleading?
Yeah, Kendall and Bailey and Devin, she worked up at Ferguson Grove,
Mhm.
which was an old drugstore here at
Yeah.
that time.
Nice. And you were talking about the business you had after the military. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, I had it for 7 years.
Mhm.
My wife, she worked at Hillbilly Junction,
Oh, uh-huh.
and she always wanted to run a restaurant.
Right.
And so we bought the restaurant, and anyhow, that marriage didn't last, but I always worked construction. I was like an iron worker in the Navy. I had like a 35-ton crane license,
Uh-huh.
and I always run forklifts and, you know, petty bones, big stuff, big heavy equipment. So I went back working construction.
Is that what you did for a long,
Where,
long
yeah,
time?
after I got rid of that other.
Restaurant.
And I worked up at Branson.
Mhm.
We built like Roy Clark Music Theater,
Oh,
places
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
And we did some work for Bass Pro. It was a
Ooh,
big,
cool.
big company.
Mhm.
And then that kind of played out, and then we went to Oklahoma and worked out there in '81 when we couldn't find a job here.
Yeah.
And I worked out there, and then I come back, and they called me up there in Springfield, the company I worked for, and they all went to work for O'Reilly's.
Oh, uh-huh.
They wanted me to be a project superintendent putting up O'Reilly auto parts. I did that for 10 years before I retired.
Speaking about serving in the military, what do you think one of the hardest things about serving in the military is?
Yeah, you know, whatever you were told to do, you did what you were
Right.
told,
Mhm.
and that's what we did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I put some hard times.
Mhm.
We worked a lot of hours and stuff like that.
Was there anything that helped you through those hard moments or those hard times?
Just, I always had faith in God.
Faith in God. So did you grow up?
My
in a
dad
religious
was a
family?
deacon in a church.
Really?
My mom was always on the board around here for the where all the women that met, you know, for church.
So
and all
what
that.
churches did you go to?
I was raised a Methodist,
Uh-huh.
and I went to the Methodist church here for a long time. My dad was buried there, but then after my mom, she was getting fairly old. I lived with her for about 3 years because she couldn't drive or anything. And she says, "Well, let's go down to Pomona Christian. I want to join." So we went down there and joined. I've been there.
What's the most rewarding part about being in the military?
Oh, just that I just feel like I did what I was supposed to do.
Served your country?
I served my country,
Mhm.
and that's the way I feel about it. I didn't go to Canada and escape and all that. Whatever I wanted, you know, whatever they told me to do, I did.
And that's very honorable. What do you consider to be the most significant political event that has occurred during your life? I mean, the Vietnam War is obviously huge, but is there any other events?
I always voted.
Always voted?
Now, sometimes I voted for the wrong person, but I still always vote.
Yeah. Some of your favorite military memories, or just, you know, military buddy, you know, events?
I had some friends that, you know, when I was stationed in Charleston, that we kind of seen each other for a while,
Mhm.
but I've lost a few of those friends, and I've lost some friends in Vietnam.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, that's just about the whole size of it right there. Yeah, after you get a certain age like I am, there's not that many people around anymore. Just like Sonny, I've known him forever,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. What's some advice you would have for this country? I mean,
Oh, I think we just gotta, get back on track.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I think our country's in a little bit of turmoil now.
right, yeah.
And I think this two-party system's not really what the best
Right.
for this country.
Mhm.
Because half's one way and half's the other,
Right.
you know. And, you know, when I was growing up, we would listen to political stuff on TV when there's like Eisenhower, you know, I'm going way back, but it was kind of nice that you would listen to who they were going to elect, and then you wouldn't hear about it for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think to have to listen to that stuff all the time is good for this country.
Yeah.
It just stirs the pot.
Right, right. Do you have any advice for those joining the military or the Navy?
Oh, I just, you know, if you want to join, and I think the draft was good when we had the draft, because I knew a lot of people that got in trouble, and they let them go to the military and it straightened them out.
Right, yeah. I've heard lots of stories like that too.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your personality. Do you feel like it was like a good fit for being in the military, or did you?
Oh,
have to
yeah,
work with
I
people?
think so, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Are you like an outgoing person or a more reserved person?
I tried to be an optimist.
Optimist? Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, my dad, he started an optimist club.
Really?
And, of course, he was an insurance salesman, so you gotta be an optimist selling insurance. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
But I like to look on the good things in life.
And that's very helpful. How do you think this country can best honor veterans?
I think they're doing really good right
Do
now.
you? I'm
Yeah,
glad.
I know when I was coming back, when I went to LAX, those girls were coming in there with flowers and trying to pin them on their vest and spitting in their face.
Mhm.
And but I got home and everybody was happy to see me.
Mhm.
But, you know, it was a bad time.
Yeah.
It really was. But I think we got to keep our head up and do the right thing.
Mhm. Yes, I agree. My great-grandfather was a POW
Oh, was he?
in the
World
Korean,
War II?
the Korean War.
Korean?
And
Okay.
he was captured because he was letting his other people on his crew escape while he had the machine guns and he was doing it. And he had a grenade and he tried to end his life, but it didn't work. The grenade was faulty and they got him. He was a POW, and they released him, finally.
Yeah.
And he came home and he was just never, that changes something.
I know. There was a lot of people who had a lot worse than I had. I know that. I've seen it. What we did where I worked at, we'd work 12 hours on, 12 hours off.
Mm-hmm.
And then during Tet Offensive, I was in Da Nang, and they'd send us to the Da Nang hospital, and we'd carry stretchers for 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew some wasn't gonna make it, some did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've seen, and then when the forestall they lost 28 guys or something on a carrier, it was a big fire deal. I unloaded all the ones that they were flying back to
Mm-hmm.
United States. They'd bring them in and unload them. So we've seen a lot of
Yeah.
action, and a lot of different things, you know what I mean?
And then my grandpa was in the military, or he was in the Army, and he
Mhm.
was a major. And then my uncle is in the Air Force right now, and he's a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force.
Well, that's good.
Yes. So
They were telling me what to do.
So thank you for your service, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate you doing this.
There's other guys that I went to school with that
Mhm.
had it a lot worse than I had it.
Yeah.
You know, they honor them, during our deals and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But we all did our turn. We did what we were told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the way it is.